already a little bit about Agnihotra. First, I'm grateful to the organizers, to Saksham Society, to this Jajpur College, and there especially Dr. Sarada, for inviting me, for still remembering me. I was there at that college more than 1 year ago. And now, today, on this international webinar on ecosystem conservation, strategies for a sustainable future, I want to talk about homotherapy, bringing nature back to balance. And that is a very important topic. Just yesterday, we had this World Environment Day. And why is this so important? You know, 20, 30 years ago, people were not much concerned about the environment. But now more and more people realize that we are dependent on nature. It's not that nature would be dependent on us. It's the other way around. We are dependent on nature. Nature could well do without humans. And we have mistreated nature too much for too long. And now the consequences are visible, getting more and more visible, and we have to do something about that. The consequences you can see here on that map. That shows from the year 2015, the deaths, percentage of deaths which are related to pollution. And you see, India is in the highest range, where 20 to 27% of all deaths are related to pollution. That means every fifth or fourth person even who dies, that is because of environmental pollution. So it's really a big, big problem. That affects humans, but it affects plants also, because if we have pollution, the leaves are getting damaged, and thus plants are more vulnerable to pests and diseases. Photosynthesis is reduced, growth is reduced, and the yield goes down by 25 to 20%. So now what to do? One possible solution to this overall pollution is given in the form of Agnihotra and Homa organic farming. The aim is to bring nature back to harmony. And of course, before this method would go mainstream, then thorough scientific evaluation is necessary. And in the following, I will show you what already has been done and also give some suggestions for future research. So now let us look at what is homotherapy. Homotherapy is the science of healing the atmosphere through pyramid fires to eliminate pollution and contamination. And it is based on Agnihotra. Agnihotra is the smallest and basic healing fire, which is tuned to the specific biorhythm of sunrise and sunset. It comes from the ancient most knowledge of the Vedic science of bioenergy, medicine, agriculture, and climate engineering. What do we need for Agnihotra? The first thing we need is a copper pyramid of fixed size and shape. That is very important. The pyramid has to be of exactly that size and shape, because all has to do with sound, vibration, and resonance. And if you change the size, if you change the the shape, then this resonance would not happen as planned. Then what we burn is first dried cow dung. I mean, in India, everybody knows about dung and also cow dung, but it has to be pure, not mixed with any other animals. So it should be pure cow dung. Same with ghee, it has to be pure cow's ghee. Difficult to get it on the market. You have to you go to some dairy farm where they only have cows, no buffaloes. Then some unpolished rice, unbroken pieces only, akshat, some mantras, which is an exact vibration, and a timetable of sunrise and sunset. Why this exact time and why these mantras? There's a description given in this ancient traditional knowledge. It says that at the time of sunrise, many fires, electricities, ethers, and so on, coming from the sun to the earth. And this flood of energy carries a subtle music in it. And the quintessential sound of that music is the mantra which we utter at that time. Therefore, we have this big resonance effect. And what happens is, this is one slide from some American physicist, astrophysicist, who confirms that ancient knowledge, because he says that the time of sunrise, million ampere currents head in towards the earth at sunrise and again out at sunset. So he confirms the same thing. Now the mantras, they are very simple, very easy. So at the in the morning at sunrise, you have Suryaya Swaha, Suryaya Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. And at sunset, Agnaye Swaha, Agnaye Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. So you see, very simple mantras. Children of 5 years or even less can easily learn these mantras, and they're actually performing Agnihotra, of course, when parents are there. So what happens? You perform Agnihotra, and then a channel is created through all the atmosphere, and prana energy, which lies above this channel, above the atmosphere, comes down, and an aura energy field is created around all plants nearby. This is why these plants get more energy, they get nutrition, they get disease resistant. This is why we use that method in farming. And when the flame dies, all this energy comes back and is collected in the Agnihotra ash. This is why we use this ash for healing, for farming, for purification of water, and so on. Now let us look at the effects which could be tested and confirmed with means of modern science. First, let's look at the atmosphere. One thing is the atmosphere is very important, of course, for humans, but also for plants, because according to ancient knowledge, but also according to the method of biodynamic farming, they say that the nutrition of plants get 70% of their nutrition through the atmosphere. Now, agricultural sciences mainly concentrate on the soil only, but plants get most of their nutrition through the atmosphere. And of course, if the atmosphere is polluted, this will not happen as planned. So the plants get suffocated and they have problems. So you see here, these Petri dishes show there were, the Petri dishes were opened with some agar nutrient in it before Agnihotra, after Agnihotra. And you see a clear difference. Before Agnihotra, you see lots and lots of bacteria, and after Agnihotra, much, much, much less. And that is just one Agnihotra, just one. So if you're performing regularly, then even it would go down more and more. So that would purify your atmosphere for any bacterial pollution. And that has been done in several places, repeated often. But it's not just biological pollution, it is also chemical pollution and physical pollution. Here, this experiment was done at North Maharashtra University in Jalgaon. They tested SOx, NOx, and also particulate matter. And we see that initially there's a little increase because we have some smoke and so on coming from the Agnihotra fire. But then there's a big reduction of approximately 30–40%. That again is only one Agnihotra. Actually, we are planning some research at NIRI in Nagpur to see what happens if we continue for 1 week. We had just planned that, but then the COVID-19 restriction came, so I couldn't go there again to actually do that. But when I'm be back in India, we want to continue. So that shows a definite reduction in SOx, NOx, and particulate matter, and we will also measure some other parameters. One important point, not much considered nowadays, is the negative ions in air. You know, there's always some ions, positive, negative ions, and normally in fresh air, there should be a little bit more negative ions than positive ions. But when you burn anything, you know, any fire, any smoke, negative ions are reduced. But with Agnihotra, the number of negative ions increases. How come? We do not know yet. But the fact is established, and more research would be very good, because negative ions even may play a role in helping with the COVID-19 problem, because it purifies the air, and negative ions could help to deactivate these viruses. What are the effects on water resources? Water purification with Agnihotra ash, that was an experiment done in Pune some time ago. They took water from a very polluted river and let this water pass through a cylinder filled with Agnihotra ash. And you see here, all parameters of water quality improved a lot. Up to the bacterial count went down by at least 90%. And here you see the details or the numbers, but the result is just from very bad water, you could get drinking water quality by just letting it pass through this Agnihotra ash. This was a report from Australia. You know, that is an area which is very dry, similar maybe to Rajasthan in India. Very dry, and so these farmers, they drilled a bore well, and they found water, which was lucky enough, but the water was not drinkable. It was, pH was 9.5, salinity 1150 parts per million. You couldn't even give it to animals or to your plants. What they did is, they performed Agnihotra next to the bore well and added Agnihotra ash regularly to this bore well. And after 6 months, the water quality had improved considerably. pH was 7.2, nearly neutral. Salinity had come down to 720 parts per million. And now this water is within the range for drinking water with which World Health Organization tells you. Effects on the soil. First, I want to read you one quote from some Sanskrit text which was written down 1500 before Christ. They say, upon this handful of soil, our survival depends. Husband it, and it will grow our food, our fuel, and our shelter, and surround us with beauty. Abuse it, and the soil will collapse and die, taking humanity with it. That is, you know, some statement from 1500 years before Christ, now more than 3.5 years ago. And the frightening thing is that according to data of the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, already now 1/3 of the world's soil has been degraded. And they say, if we continue like we do with this chemical farming, then in the year 2050, we would only have 1/4 of the soil available in 1960 left. And with this 1/4 of the available arable soil, it will be impossible to feed a growing number of people. So that is a very important point. You really have